This new law will wipe out illegals in Florida, and politicians from both parties are scrambling to stop it. Team DeSantis just filed real legislation that's finally going to cut the waste, expose the fraud, and make it harder for illegals to spend your tax money. In this video, I'll show you exactly what's inside the bill they're terrified of, how illegal laws in blue states are killing people in Florida, and how your hard-earned tax dollars are ending up in the hands of drug cartels. Let's jump in. You ever wonder how illegal immigration got so bad, even in red states like Florida? It's because our own government is giving illegals our tax money so they can live here for free. But that changes now.
In many states, illegal immigrants can receive free health care, free education, free legal advice, food stamps, unemployment, reduced tuition, driver's licenses, auto insurance, law degrees. Think about that. An illegal immigrant could become a lawyer in places in the United States when they were promising and swearing to uphold the laws of the United States, when they broke the law actually getting into this country in the first place.
Do you pay your own health care? Buy your own food? Pay rent or a mortgage? I bet you do. Then why should someone who came here illegally and isn't even a U.S. citizen get all of that for free while you're stuck covering their bills? Check out this chart. The U.S. population barely moved, but the number of people on SNAP or food stamps nearly doubled. That's not need, that's fraud. But the far left wants you to believe that if we crack down on this fraud, people are going to starve in the streets. The truth? 0 people starve to death in the United States today. That's the scam. They come here illegally and hijack the system, and we reward it. You want them to stop breaking the law and leave? Cut off the free stuff. Because the more we give away, the more we attract. It's like turning on a giant magnet, pulling illegals from all over the world right into Florida. That's where Blaze Angolia comes in. Governor Ron DeSantis appointed Blaze as Chief Financial Officer of Florida and put him in charge of FAFO, the Florida Agency for Fiscal Oversight. FAFO's been digging through city and county budgets and already found over $1.86 billion in wasteful spending. Some counties have increased their budgets by over 50% in the last 5 years, and guess where that money's coming from? Your property taxes. And here's the crazy part. Some of that waste, it's tied to bloated programs and services that illegals are tapping into for free. So not only are they draining the system, you're paying the bill while they take advantage of it. That's why Blaze, DeSantis, and Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins are all on the same page. Cut the waste, kill the fraud, and shut down the incentives that are pulling illegals into Florida in the first place. But talking about the problem isn't enough. So what are they actually doing to stop it? That's where Blaze steps in. He can't file legislation himself, so he teamed up with Senator Jonathan Martin and Rep. Bernie Jacquist to introduce 2 matching bills, SB 1380 in the Senate and its companion HB 1307 in the House, to finally shut this thing down. And if it passes, here's a few of the big things it'll do.
New legislation, proposed bill will prohibit all commercial driver's license pre-licensing instruction, testing, and licensing procedures to be given in any other language but English. If you are going to be on our roads as a commercial truck driver, you need to know the language. The days of you skating by, being on our roads and causing harm are over in the state of Florida.
A ton of blue states are handing out CDL licenses to illegals, even though it's against federal law. And some of these drivers can't even read English. That's a massive problem. Every road sign in America is in English. And in Florida, it's already turned deadly. 3 people were killed when an illegal truck driver, licensed in California, made an illegal U-turn in a semi on the interstate. A minivan slammed into his trailer. All 3 inside died. It was tragic. The truck driver, Harjinder Singh, fled back to California, but he didn't get away. Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins personally flew out there, brought him back, and made sure he faced charges right here in Florida. That's the kind of leadership we need, and exactly why this bill cracks down on this nonsense.
We want to remove illegal aliens as covered employees under the workers' compensation statute. Unbelievably, when you read that statute, it says there on the plain text that illegal immigrants are eligible for workers' compensation. We think that is wrong. Why should the workers' compensation system and other businesses who are doing it legally subsidize bad behavior of other businesses? We think that's wrong. We think that needs to change.
I'm honestly shocked that somebody that's here illegally, working illegally, gets hurt and can get workers' compensation. Come on. Blaze is pretty pissed about it too.
In fact, we think that if you are a business owner and you hire an illegal immigrant and that person, if she or he gets hurt on your watch, it should come directly out of your pocket. You should pay for all of it. The system should not.
I think it should go a step further. Prosecute companies that hire them. But here's the real bombshell. This one part of the bill, it's going to make illegals leave Florida on their own.
We want to end the use of illegal IDs from sanctuary states to open up bank accounts and cashier's checks, because we know this is one of the ways that they feed money back to not just the people in the country that they came from, but to the drug cartels who paid for smuggling them over the southern border to get here.
This is a huge deal because it shuts down one of the biggest illegal money pipelines nobody wants to talk about. Here's how it works. Illegals come here owing thousands to the coyotes, the human traffickers who smuggle people across the border. Thousands die along the way, and the Biden administration's already lost track of over 300,000 kids who crossed on their own. The ones who survive and actually make it across the border, they're not free. Most have to hand over a third of every paycheck just to repay the coyotes. And that money, it's going straight to the cartels. Then when they're here, they get on welfare, live off US taxpayers, and send that money right back out of the country. It's called remittances. But in this case, it's not helping families. It's paying off the same cartels and smugglers who brought them in. Blaze's bill cuts right into that system. It blocks access to financial licenses, banking, and the loopholes that let them keep the money flowing. You shut that off, and they leave on their own. This isn't feel-good politics. This is a legal firewall. Think about this for a second. The Biden administration let 20 million illegals into the country. So how are they ending up in places like Washington, Minnesota, Illinois, and New York? They crossed the border broke, no money, no documents, no job. Most of them gave everything they had to the coyotes just to get here. So how are they surviving? How are they traveling across the country? It doesn't add up unless someone's helping them. Who's paying the bill? You are. The government's using your tax dollars to pay NGOs, non-government organizations, billions to move illegals into blue states. They're getting free hotels, free housing, healthcare, cell phones, spending cash, food stamps, even maxed out on Social Security, all for free. This isn't a safety net, it's a taxpayer-funded relocation program. So all those protests you're seeing on the news, they're trying to protect the scam. They're a bunch of paid agitators running the show, convincing gullible people they're protecting their neighbors from getting arrested for no reason, when ICE is actually deporting violent criminals and getting them off the streets to protect Americans. But don't believe me, take it from former President Barack Obama.
Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws. And I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. That's why over the past 6 years, deportations of criminals are up 80%. And that's why we're going to keep focusing enforcement resources on actual threats to our security.
Here's a picture of him awarding Tom Homan the 2015 Presidential Rank Award for Distinguished Service. He gave it to Homan for running ICE's deportation operations, which led to over 3 million removals under Obama. And yeah, this is the same Tom Homan who runs ICE under Trump today. Back then, the left loved ICE and Tom Homan. Today, they use the media to try and villainize them every chance they get. Here's an article from NPR News dated January 21st, 2026. ICE detains 5-year-old Minnesota boy. Lawyer says agents used him as bait. That's horrible, but is it true?
And I see this story, and I'm a father of a 5-year-old, actually, a 5-year-old little boy, and I think to myself, oh my God, this is terrible. How did we arrest a 5-year-old? Well, I do a little bit more follow-up research. And what I find is that the 5-year-old was not arrested, that his dad was an illegal alien, and then when they went to arrest his illegal alien father, the father ran. So the story is that ICE detained a 5-year-old. Well, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death? Are they not supposed to arrest an illegal alien in the United States of America? If the argument is that you can't arrest people who have violated our laws because they have children, then every single parent is going to be completely given immunity from ever being the subject of law enforcement. That doesn't make any sense. No one thinks that makes any sense.
Pretty shocking difference, right? The media just drops these headlines and hopes you'll never watch videos like this to show you how much they lie. So why do they all act like ICE is the enemy today? Because Democrat politicians realized if they import the third world, give them free stuff, and let them become citizens, they'd get Democratic voters for life and would never lose another election. So they let other countries know that the border was open. And not only did NGOs get paid to help people get to the border and cross it, But countries also emptied out their prisons and shipped them into the United States. And now they're our problem. Here's U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders in 2015 on open borders.
Open borders?
Foreign aid. Open borders.
That's a Koch brothers proposal. The idea, of course, I mean, that's a right-wing proposal which says essentially there is no United States.
But it would make a lot of global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state. And I don't think there's any country in the world which believes in that.
Here he is 4 years later.
I am, as some of you know, supportive of a Medicare for all single-payer system. And that means that everybody in the country has health care, including the undocumented. Okay? And mark my words, you'll see 30-second ads attacking me for that. And then you'll see another set of 30-second ads, because when I say I want to make public colleges and universities tuition free, that also includes the undocumented. Now, I hope that as soon as possible, the undocumented will not be undocumented.
And here's a fun fact that'll make you sick. Illegals are counted in the U.S. Census. So if you ship enough of them to swing states, that can get you more representatives in the U.S. House. Enough reps in the House gives you a majority so you can stop or pass any legislation you want. That's why sanctuary states like Minnesota refuse to turn over illegals they've already arrested for crimes.
Since President Trump took office 1 year ago today, the state of Minnesota has released nearly 500 criminal aliens who were in police or state custody rather than turning them over to ICE for removal proceedings.
500 are back on the streets terrorizing the citizens of Minnesota. And a lot of them are accused of being sex offenders or murderers. So ICE in blue states, they gotta chase these criminals through neighborhoods, outside schools, apartment complexes, even churches. Why? Because local officials won't hand them over. But in red states like Florida, ICE just goes straight to the prison, picks them up, and it's done. Peacefully, and nobody gets hurt. That's the difference. One side's protecting citizens, the other's protecting criminals. This is all coordinated. The chaos, it's a strategy. Create a media circus, paint ICE as the villain, and let another illegal or potential future voter slip through the cracks. And while all that's happening, our tax dollars are still flowing, feeding the exact system that's being used against us. This isn't a border problem. Trump shut that down. It's a policy problem, and it's why DeSantis and the boys are pushing this bill through hard to shut this down fast. But let me show you the new trick. Democrats know that they can't win in Florida. Not honestly. So now, they're just switching jerseys and running as Republicans. They talk like conservatives, they say all the right things to get elected. Then what happens? They start pushing the Democrat agenda from inside our own party. Want proof? Here's U.S. House Rep Republican Maria Elvira Salazar, who introduced the Dignity Act to allow illegals to stay in the U.S. if they succeeded in illegally being here for 5 years or more.
If you are undocumented and you have been in the country for more than 5 years, you do not have a criminal record. You're working and paying taxes. You can come out of the shadows with no fear and apply for the dignity status.
Those weren't Republicans standing behind her. Why would you reward someone who gets away with breaking the law for 5 years? She's going against the mandate Florida voters made crystal clear. Remove illegal aliens and shut down the fraud. So how's she doing in Congress? Here's her Liberty score from Conservative Review. It's a rating system that evaluates members of Congress based on how conservatively they vote. Just so you know, F is no bueno. But she's not the only one protecting criminals. I did a video on all the alleged Somali daycare fraud going on in Minnesota after YouTuber Nick Shirley broke the story wide open. Turns out it's happening in other cities and states too. Seattle, Washington just got exposed for alleged fraud in daycare. Keep in mind, this is billions in U.S. taxpayer dollars funding these daycares. Here's Democratic Seattle Mayor Kate Wilson.
I don't think it needs to be explained why it's problematic to have random people showing up to daycares. I think the fear in the Somali community is real. The fear in immigrant communities are real, so we're taking that very seriously.
Along those lines, have you asked anyone to follow up on the fraud claims either to the Department of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs or SPD?
No.
So there's, as far as you're concerned right now, there's no reason to suggest there's any sort of fraud?
This whole issue is not really about fraud, right? It's about dividing and conquering. It's about making an immigrant community a target, right? There's no reason to assume based on the identity of a daycare operator that their small business is doing anything wrong.
No, Kate, it's about fraud. I don't care if you're white, black, pink, blue, green, Democrat, or Republican. If you're stealing U.S. taxpayer money, you need to be investigated, and you better go to jail. This is why nothing ever changes, even when we win, because half the people wearing red are playing for the other team. And these fake Republicans vote for these far-left policies. And the worst part, most voters don't even see it coming. Florida didn't get strong by playing nice. It got strong because DeSantis didn't flinch. He took the fight straight to the left, cleaned house, and didn't care what the media said. And now, Blaze is doing the same thing. Not giving speeches, not posing for cameras, actually filing bills that shut down the scam and fix the system. That's what leadership looks like. You want to stop illegal immigration? You don't do it with driver's licenses and government handouts. You do it by cutting the benefits and enforcing the law. You turn off the magnet and people stop showing up. And yeah, we've always been a nation of immigrants. But back then, no handouts. You came here, you worked hard, and you earned your place. Nobody owed you anything. There was no welfare for you waiting at the dock. Now, you sneak across the border and get welfare, housing, free healthcare, a phone, even cash. You're treated better than the citizens actually paying the taxes. That's not immigration, that's a reward system, and it's wrong. And it's exactly what Blaze's bill is targeting. It ends the incentives, closes the loopholes, and shuts off the flow of taxpayer-funded benefits going to people who broke the law to get here. That's why we need Blaze as Florida's CFO and Jay Collins as our next governor. Green Beret, no BS, zero tolerance for soft-on-crime garbage. These guys get it. They're not chasing headlines in D.C., they're here to protect Florida, and both are on the ballot. Because if we screw around and elect another batch of soft Republicans, it's over. The left will flip this state the same way they flipped everything else, slowly, quietly, permanently. DeSantis gave us the blueprint, Blaze is exposing the waste, Jay Collins will keep Florida strong. Stick to the plan, stay with the fighters, and Florida stays free. And here's the wild part. DeSantis can't run for governor again, which means this race, it's about to be the biggest state election in U.S. history. Click here to find out why DeSantis won't endorse Florida's next governor, even though his pick would win in a landslide. I'll show you the 2 reasons he can't touch it and the 1 candidate he's quietly backing behind the scenes. Click here and I'll see you there.